ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, dear Prabhujis, we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is. Chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized. In our last session we read the 44th verse. Now we are reading the 45th verse, another very beautiful verse. So Lord Shri Krishna, he continues his instruction and he says, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nishtraigunnyo Bhava Arjuna Nirdvandho Nitya Sattvastho Niryoga Shema Atmavan. त्रैगुण्या विषया वेदा निस्त्रैगुण्यो भव अर्जुन निर्द्वंद्वो नित्य सत्वस्थो निर्योगा क्षेमात्मवान्। त्रैगुण्या विषया वेदा निस्त्रैगुण्यो भव अर्जुन निर्द्वंद्वो नित्य सत्वस्थो निर्योगा क्षेमात्मवान्. So very beautiful verse. Traigunya, pertaining to the three modes of material nature. Vishayaha, on the subject matter. Vedaha, Vedic literatures. Nishtraigunya, in a pure state of spiritual existence. Bhava, be. Arjuna, O Arjuna. Nirdvandha, free from pains of opposites. Nitya Sattvastha, ever remaining in Sattva, goodness. Niryoga Shemaha, free from the thoughts of acquisition and preservation. Atmavan, established in the self. So the Vedas mainly deal with the subject of three modes of material nature. Rise above these modes, O Arjuna. Be transcendental to all of them. Be free from the dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nishtraigunnyo Bhava Arjuna Nirdvando Nitya Sattvastho Niryoga Shema Atmavan, be established in the self. The Vedas mainly deal with the subject of the three modes of material nature. Rise above these modes, O Arjuna, be transcendental to all of them, be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. In the purport, Swami Srila Prabhupada is explaining, all material activities involve action and reactions in the three modes of material nature. They are meant for fruitive results, which cause bondage in the material world. The Vedas deal mostly with fruitive activities to gradually elevate the general public from the field of sense gratification to a position of transcendental plane. Arjuna, as a student and friend of Lord Krishna, is advised to raise himself to the transcendental position of Vedanta philosophy, where in the beginning there is Brahma Jigyasa, or questions on the supreme transcendence. All the living entities who are in the material world are struggling very hard for existence. For them, the Lord, after creation of the material world, gave the Vedic wisdom, advising how to live and get rid of the material entanglement. When the activities for sense gratification, namely the Karma Kanda chapter, are finished, then the chance for spiritual realization is offered in the form of the Upanishads, which are part of different Vedas, as the Bhagavad Gita is part of the fifth Veda, namely the Mahabharata. The Upanishads mark the beginning of transcendental life. As long as the material body exists, there are actions and reactions in the material modes. One has to learn tolerance in the face of dualities such as happiness and distress or cold and warmth, and by tolerating such dualities, become free from anxieties regarding gain and loss. This transcendental position is achieved in full Krishna consciousness when one is fully dependent on the good will of Krishna or of the Supreme Lord. This transcendental position is achieved in full Krishna consciousness when one is fully dependent on the good will of Krishna. So, very, very beautiful verse. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nishtraigunya Bhavarjuna. So, Lord Shri Krishna, he is describing to Arjunji and to all of us. Traigunya Vishaya Veda. The Vedas, the four Vedas, they mainly deal with three modes of material nature. All of us, we acquire a body which is which actually has mixture of all the three modes, and as Swami Srila Prabhupada has explained, and we get information from the scriptures, Brahmanas, they have a mode of goodness or sattva prominent in their body. Kshatriyas, they have mode of passion or rajas, and Shudras, they have tamas or mode of ignorance prominent in their body. So all of us, we acquire a body or we take up a material body based on our past actions. So in this material world, till we have a material body, we are subjected to three modes of material nature. And life after life, we keep on changing bodies as per our actions and our gunas, our modes. We take up a body which has, truly speaking, all the modes are mixed. We have different qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance in different quantity, which constitute a particular material body. And all the actions of this world we perform, we do under the grip or under the control of the three modes of material nature. So Vedas mainly deal with the subject of the three modes of material nature. Traigunya Vishaya Veda. Traigunya, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So Vedas, they mainly deal, as Swami Srila Prabhupada explained in the purport, in the beginning of the creation, the Supreme Lord gave Vedic wisdom to all the living entities, because all of us, we are here in this material world for our sense gratification. Those who have fallen to this material world, or those who have accepted material body, they have accepted because of their sense gratificatory tendency. And in the previous verses also we saw bhoga and aishwarya. So all material activities involve actions and reactions in the three modes of material nature. They are meant for fruitive results which causes bondage in this material world. So the Vedas, they mainly deal with the fruitive activities, sakam karma, which causes bondage, because every action done in the three modes of material nature will have some reaction, for which, because of which, one will have to accept another material body to enjoy or suffer the reaction of one's past material activities. So Traigunya Vishaya Veda, the Vedas, they mainly deal with three modes of material nature, and Lord Shri Krishna, he is advising Arjun ji, Nishtragunyo, become free from Nishtragunyo, in a pure state of spiritual existence. The living entity, he does not belong to this material world, which is a combination of three modes. And out of those three modes, sometimes we are acting piously, sometimes impiously. Sometimes we are acting in the mode of goodness, sometimes we are acting in the mode of passion, sometimes we are acting in the mode of ignorance, which is causing, or those actions are bringing reactions in one's life, because of which one has to again and again accept material bodies to suffer or enjoy in this material world. So Lord Shri Krishna, he is advising Arjunji, Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nishtraigunya Bhava Arjuna, Nishtraigunya, rise above. So Lord Shri Krishna, he is asking Arjunji to raise above, to raise himself above the three modes of material nature. Do not think in terms of Nirdvandho Nitya Satvastho Niryoga Shema. Niryoga Shema. As Lord Shri Krishna earlier also, he requested Arjunji, Sukhe Dukhe Same Kritva Labha Labho Jaya Jayo. So free yourself. Lord Shri Krishna is advising Arjunji and advising all of us to rise above three modes of material nature and Nishtragunya, in a pure state of spiritual existence, free from the thoughts of acquisition and preservation. Niryoga Shemaha. Niryoga Shemaha. Free from acquisition and preservation. So all of us in this material world, we are always thinking in terms of preserving what we have and acquiring more. Because we have lording over tendency in us and we want to be lord of this material world, or we want to lord over the material nature, which mainly comprise of three modes: goodness, passion and ignorance. So we act being controlled by these modes, the particular mode in which our body, material body, exist, and we get entangled. So Vedas, they deal with fruitive activities, and the Vedic wisdom was being given at the time of creation by the Supreme Lord, so that one can gradually, slowly, one life after life, one may realize and rise to a transcendental platform above the three modes of material nature. So the Vedas, the four Vedas, they mainly deal with three modes of material nature, and Swami Srila Prabhupada, he explained the purport. Arjuna, as a student and friend of Lord Shri Krishna, is advised to raise himself to the transcendental position of Vedanta philosophy, or Veda Anta. Veda Anta, end of. The Vedas, they mainly deal with fruitive activities, so the end of Vedic wisdom, that is Veda Anta, Vedanta philosophy, where in the beginning there is Brahma Jigyasa, or questions on the supreme transcendence, who I am, who is the Supreme Lord, who is the controller. So Lord Shri Krishna, here he is asking Arjunji, Nishtragunya, in a pure state of spiritual existence. You do not belong to this material world. You do not belong to the three modes of material nature. And Nirdvandho Nitya Sattva, that sattva which do not fades away with time. All of us, we want to be good and act in goodness, but the material goodness, material mode of goodness, material mode of passion, material mode of ignorance, they keep on changing and we keep on changing bodies. But Lord Shri Krishna here, he is advising Arjunji to get established or establish oneself in ever remaining in sattva, nitya sattva. That's why here he is mentioning it as nitya sattva, or Swami Srila Prabhupada, he explains it as pure goodness, or one's eternal spiritual existence, one's eternal spiritual existence, in a pure state of spiritual existence, nishtragunya, nitya sattvastha, ever remaining in sattva, goodness. The Vedas mainly deal with the subject matter of the three modes of material nature. Rise above these modes, O Arjuna, be transcendental to all of them. The soul is actually transcendental. The soul is transcendental to the three modes and is free from all dualities, all thoughts of gain and loss, victory or defeat, pain and pleasure. The soul is actually in the transcendental state. The soul is fixed up in the service of the super soul or the supreme being. The living entity is fixed up in the service of the supreme being or the super soul and is free from all dualities. And that's what Lord Shri Krishna is demanding Arjunji, the nirdvandho nitya sattvastha. Rise above these modes, O Arjuna, be transcendental to all of them, be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety. Niryoga shema, free from acquisition and preservation. Nirdvandho nitya sattvastho. Niryoga shema atmavan, and be established in the self. Be established in the self. So Arjunji is asked, the Vedas deal mostly with the fruitive activities to gradually elevate the general public from the field of sense gratification to a position on the transcendental plane. And Arjunji, as a student and friend of Lord Shri Krishna, is advised to rise himself to the transcendental position of Veda Anta, end of Vedic wisdom, or Veda Anta philosophy, Vedanta philosophy, where in the beginning there is Brahma Jigyasa, or questions on the supreme transcendence. So all living entities who are in the material world are struggling very hard for existence. For them, the Lord, after creation of the material world, gave the Vedic wisdom advising how to live and get rid of the material entanglement. When the activities of sense gratification, namely the Karma Kanda chapter, are finished, then the chance for spiritual realization is offered in the form of Upanishads. So when one finishes, when one is free from, when one is above the three modes of material nature, or when one is established in the self, when one is established in one's spiritual existence, dharma, artha, kama, then after fulfilling, after coming out, as such material wants are not fulfilled, but okay, after coming out of that entanglement, one can think of moksha, or one can ask about supreme transcendence, Brahma Jigyasa. That is the philosophy. Or after finishing the Karma Kanda portion, there is Jnana Kanda, then Upasana Kanda, Bhakti Kanda, which are also the part of scriptures and the Vedas, and that's why Swami Srila Prabhupada, they are known as fifth Veda. So when the activities of sense gratification, namely the Karma Kanda chapter, are finished, then the chance for spiritual realization is offered. Then the living entity, when the living entity is free from dualities in this material world, when actions are done in the modes of material modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance, they bring some fruitive results, which always bring anxieties because there are dualities. If there is some happiness, then there is some distress. So, happiness, distress, victory, defeat, pain, pleasure, all material activities and their reactions are contaminated by these dualities. When one is established in self, Nishtra Gunya Nitya Sattvasto, when one is Atmavan, then only one can be free from Dvandha and thoughts of acquisition and preservation. Nishtra Gunya, so Lord Sri Krishna, that's why he's demanding, he's requesting Arjunji, Nishtra Gunya Bhava Arjuna, Bhava, become, be established in the self in a pure state of spiritual existence, free from pains of opposites. Sukhe dukhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo. Free from nitya sattvasto, ever remaining in sattva. That is the state, that is one's eternal state of existence, pure goodness, nitya sattva, where one only think of the service of the Supreme Lord without any consideration of happiness or distress, pain and pleasure, victory or defeat. And that's why Swami Srila Prabhupada in the last paragraph he explained, one is advised, and Lord Sri Krishna he advised earlier also, the happiness and distress in this material world, they are like summer and the winter seasons. We saw in the previous verse. And Tam Titikshasva Bharata, there also Lord Sri Krishna he advised Arjunji that one should learn to tolerate. Because all of us, we are conditioned, because we are forgetful of our eternal identity, and because we are in the conditioned state, we are not liberated. So for sure there will be happiness and distress. But happiness and distress, Lord Sri Krishna, he compared them with winter and summer season. Agama apaino anityas, which are also temporary. The material happiness and material distress, the pain and pleasure of this material world, they are also anitya. They are not nitya, they are also temporary. So that's why in the previous verses Lord Sri Krishna advised one should try to tolerate them. One should learn to tolerate them. Agama paino anityas tam titikshasva bharata matra sparshas tu kaunteya. They are felt by sense perception. By sense perception we feel pain and pleasure in this material world, but they are also manashasthani indriyani. Because the mind is the center of all the senses. So with 5 knowledge acquiring senses and by mind one feels pain and pleasure in this material world, which are also anitya. Agama paino, they come and go. Agama apainaha anitya, and they are not permanent, they are also temporary. So one should learn to tolerate them. And by tolerating such happiness and pain, one becomes free from niryoga shema. One becomes free from the thought of acquisition and preservation. One becomes completely free from the thoughts of acquisition, gain or loss, and one can be established in Nitya Sattva. As long as the material body exists, there are action and reactions in the material modes. One has to learn tolerance in face of dualities such as happiness and distress or cold and warmth, and by tolerating such dualities, become free from anxieties regarding gain and loss. So for working in Krishna consciousness, one requires Vyavasatmika Buddhi. Working for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, one requires intelligence fixed up in Krishna consciousness, Vyavasatmika Buddhi. But there is a spiritual gain. One has to give up all tendency for material gain and preservation and acquisition for material gain and loss. But by acting in Krishna consciousness, there is a transcendental gain. One can free himself from karma bandhana, one can completely stop the cycle of birth, death, old age, disease. And one can be liberated from the three modes of material nature. One can get his eternal constitutional position in the spiritual world, in association with the Supreme Lord. One can get back his eternal identity and his eternal duty, devotional service to the Supreme Lord, and get a life full of eternal bliss in knowledge of Krishna consciousness, in knowledge of devotional service. So become free from anxieties regarding gain and loss. This transcendental position is achieved in full Krishna consciousness. This transcendental position, Sat, which is not lost. So that is the goal. In the material world, we are in Asat, Achit, and Nirananda. Asat. In the material world, we have a temporary body, Asat, and we are acting in ignorance. Achit. In the material world, already we have Asat, a temporary material body, and we are acting in ignorance, which is causing more bondage, karma bandhanat, and because of which we are unsatisfied. Our dreams, our desires are not fulfilled. And if some desires, material desires, if by our previous deeds, or if bestowed by the demigods, if some desires are fulfilled, then again we develop new desires, and hence we are not satisfied. Nirananda. So in this material world, our existence is Asat, Achit, Nirananda. But if one work in Krishna consciousness, if one work without fruitive mentality, if one work for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, then not only he can free himself from karma bandhanat, not only one can free himself from Asat, Achit, Nirananda, one can get eternal life, Satchidananda. One can get eternal life full in Krishna consciousness. Transcendental position is achieved full in Krishna consciousness. This transcendental position is achieved in full in Krishna consciousness when one is fully dependent on the goodwill of Krishna. So this can also happen only by the goodwill or by the grace, by the blessings or goodwill of the Supreme Lord, Lord Shri Krishna. And to get the mercy of Supreme Lord, one also requires the mercy of his pure devotee, the spiritual master, as Swami Srila Prabhupada explained in the previous purports. By following the instructions of the spiritual master, one can get the complete blessings or mercy of the Supreme Lord. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado yasya aprasadan na gati kutopi. So if one has blessings of the spiritual master and one is fully dependent on the grace of the Supreme Lord, Lord Shri Krishna, if one work for him, for his satisfaction, then it is possible to get this transcendental position full of Krishna consciousness. So very very beautiful verse. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nishtraigunya Bhava Arjuna Nirdvandho Nitya Sattvastho Niryoga Shema Atmavan. The Vedas mainly deal with the subject of three modes of material nature. Rise above these modes, O Arjuna, be transcendental to all of them, be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. So, Arjun, as a student and friend of Lord Shri Krishna, is advised to raise himself to the transcendental position of Vedanta philosophy, where in the beginning there is Brahma Jigyasa or questions on the supreme transcendence. When the activities of sense gratification, namely the Karma Kanda chapter, are finished, then the chance for spiritual realization is offered in the form of Upanishad. So Bhagavad Gita is also above, in that sense, above the four Vedas, as it is also known as Gita Upanishad, as it mainly contains the instructions of the Upanishads, and Swami Srila Prabhupada always give references from various Upanishads and Puranas. So Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita, is in one sense the Vedanta philosophy, where one inquire about Brahma Jigyasa, where in the beginning there is Brahma Jigyasa or questions on the supreme transcendence. So that's why Lord Shri Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita for the benefit of entire humanity through the medium of Arjunji. So in one sense we are very very fortunate that we are getting a chance to hear Bhagavad Gita, and that too explained by a pure devotee or the spiritual master of the whole world, Jagat Guru Swami Srila Prabhupada. So with this I would like to stop here. In our next session we will take up the next verse, and through the beautiful purports of Swami Srila Prabhupada we will try to understand its concepts, various concepts, transcendental concepts. So Jai Vishnupad Paramhans Parivrajagacharya Ashtotarashat Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charnarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. All glories to His Divine Grace Krishna Kripa Murti Abhay Charnarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Lord Krishna, all glories to Bhagavad Gita, all glories to Lord Chaitanya, all glories to Holy Name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.